Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Beaters, and I usually allow a couple of patches to roll through before I kind of make a decision what the new tier list looks like, and I kind of held off after the Army of Darkness update until we had an additional patch, much like I did with my Scotty build video, to make sure things were just right. And we're now ready for the 3.0 tier list. So, before we do that, if you like this Evil Dead content, please drop a like and a comment below. It really does help the channel. Of course, smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell for all Evil Dead and horror-related content. And if you're looking for people to play with, we do community nights every Sunday and Thursday. Click on that link in the description below. It is our Discord. We have a thriving horror-based community. Now, just a quick reminder, if you haven't seen the previous tier list, number 1 was Kelly, number 13 was SAsh, and then there was a mix-up between there. And of course, I always use based on how the game is played right now, whether it's imbalances, whether something's broken, whatever the situation is. And kicking the list off at number 13 is support Cheryl, down 3 spots. Now, why have I been keep knocking Cheryl down? Well, they've shrunk her radius, they lengthened her heal, and they haven't given her anything that boosts her back up, and the whole support class as a whole is down on this list. And unfortunately, they've made the support class more and more terrible as it's gone along, and I don't think they really know what to do with it in general. Coming in at number 12, up 1 spot, is support Ash, and SAsh is still not good. They did boost his damage and tried to kind of rework the headshot components for marks, but he's still not great. His healing is down, but his damage is up, so it's kind of a trade-off. He is more viable as a warrior type healer, especially if you're good at headshots, but he's still not really probably where they wanted that rework to go. Also up 1 spot at number 12 is Scotty Doesn't Know. Scotty is definitely a little more dangerous now with the boost to Thunder Thrust, which is only a 50-point damage to his AoE, but with the way light attacks cause such stun damage now, if you use the build I have, he can be a pretty viable damage monster. Coming in at number 10 is one of the biggest losers of this new tier list, and that is leader Arthur, down 6 spots to number 10. And Arthur came in as my favorite character coming out of the beta, and they've just kind of progressively let him go, and he's become the least valuable leader. His aura and his perks don't really lead to anything but damage. You can still use the Arthur Wrath build and do pretty decent damage with him, but as the role he's supposed to play, he's not doing it well at all. Coming in at number 9, down 3 spots, is the third and final of the support class, Pablo. And Pablo's range hasn't been increased, his ability to carry Shems hasn't been increased, his medallion ability takes way too long, and his only ability that really makes him good is the fact that he can kind of roam as a solo, hunting down pieces without being seen. And so Pablo, amongst the rest of the support class, really needs some buffs to make them much more viable. You still need that healer class to help out, but it also feels like you're playing at a deficit of a character. Coming in at number 8, up 3 spots, and you're gonna see this with the other leader as well. Annie moves up 3 spots to number 8. Now, Annie Knowby is a unique character. She's kind of getting herself now into the midpoint. She's been hanging down at the bottom of my list, but her abilities to really lower balance bar on both elites and bosses makes her very dangerous. Amongst her other perks, which we talked about in the leader video, why leader to leaders right now are so good, with the fact that demons are kind of soft and you can get that stun going really, really fast now. Coming in at number 7, down 6 spots, our previous number 1, who was the most broken character during that time, Kelly Maxwell. Now, Kelly's been fixed, her damage has been reduced, and she's still really good to play like every other hunter, but now she's no longer sitting on the top of the pedestal now that she's been fixed and kind of back towards more of the middle of the ground. When she first launched on the tier list, she was number 5, she's now number 7, she's kind of just hanging around the middle, and she's a very fun character to play because she's so good at both melee and DPS. She is still one of the best all-around characters in the game. Coming in at number 6, up 3 spots the first time, you're gonna find our good buddy Hash, or Hunter Ashley. He is now moving up. Even with his lowering of time to exorcism, he still does a ton of damage. He's still a very solid character, and he can use a chainsaw, which is also nice compared to SAsh, and it makes him a pretty solid character overall. He's able to really do some high damage. His exorcism really can get in the head of demons and do a lot of damage. And he's pretty good. Even with the overall reduction to range damage that came out of that last update, he's still really, really good and shows up well on the boards. Number 5, up 3 spots as well, is Leader Ash. And Leader Ash now is starting to turn into one of those characters that they probably wanted him to be from the get-go. Referred to as the balance bar to Leader 9000, Blow Up and Show Up really has been doing a lot of havoc to unfortunate demons. And we did on the last stream, I just played almost exclusively Leader Ash, showing how much balance bar damage he does. Of course, he can use the chainsaw. He has great aura with plus to damage both range and melee, as well as fear management within his aura. It's one of the best in the game, and it's probably the most useful overall aura. And of course, if you do a finisher, it just ups that to the next level. So Leader Ash is on the rise, coming in at number 5. And now we've reached the upper echelon, my S tier characters right now that I feel like are probably the best in the game. And coming in at number 4 is my main, up 3 spots, Ed Getley. Now, of course, Ed got a new weapon with the AoE explosive crossbow. They did lower his weapon master a little bit, so it's not as ridiculous, but the light's still great at controlling demon leveling. Ed is still an awesome damage monster, and the crossbow is one of the best DPS headshot monsters in the game. Ed is up 3 spots to number 4. Sitting at number 3, where she was last time, the only character on my list who has not adjusted at all is Amanda. And let's be honest, Ammo for Days will keep her in that talk all day, every day, because Ammo for Days with a special weapon like a blunderbuss or the crossbow is just such ridiculous damage combined with Wig Splitter. If you're a headshot machine, you are gonna pump out some serious damage with Amanda. Even with the reduction to range, she's still an absolute beast. Coming in at number 2, back up on the list, 3 spots, Henry the Red, the game's true tank, but can also be a melee DPS destroyer, and with the reduction of balance bars, pretty much can control the field. Also is the only character who cannot be interrupted on resurrections, because you can just activate your ignorance and be like, hey, I'm gonna level him, doesn't matter if I get screamed, doesn't matter if I get hit, doesn't matter if anything, I'm bringing this person back up. And as the truest tank in the entire game, Henry the Red is just really, really thriving during this version of the game. And finally, that brings us to number 1. And for the first time on my list, he's been number 2 twice. He's got himself finally on the mountain, the king. AoD, the best character in the game, even after nerfs, still the best character in the game. And there's really not much you can really do to stop the chosen one. Like, he is what he is. You're going to see an AoD in every group. You're going to have someone who always plays AoD. And let's be honest, as long as they're stealing everyone's takedowns, they're going to be king of the castle. And that's just how it works. And the Army of Darkness update did absolutely nothing to change that. AoD is the king. And if you want to see these now as in tier list, I'm going to hop over real quick to the Evil Dead tier list maker, and I'll show you how I group them together. We are now at the grouping of the tier list, and I'm going to show you where I put everyone. Of course, as I mentioned, the top 3, AoD, Henry the Red, and Amanda. Oof, Amanda, I'm going to put her in really good. Her, Ed Getley, Leader Ash, Kayla Maxwell. These are your top 6. You have 2 in the groovy right now. You have 4 inside of good. Once you hit Annie, she's gonna be indecent. Unfortunately, right now, I don't think anyone really hits evil. I think that's a little unfair. So even my lower characters like Cheryl and Scotty will not make their. Hash is tough. You know what? Hash is going to get his ass moved up to good. SAsh is going to be in meh, and then Arthur will be finished. So I don't put anyone in evil. I feel like that's a little unfair to anyone, because I feel like all the characters are pretty viable right now. So no one really needs to be put into evil. But what I think we're going to have is this. Our bottom 3 ended up in meh, and they could all use work. Even with Scotty's boost, he still isn't really there. Decent right now is kind of your, a lot of your fallers, plus Annie. She's kind of the leader of the decent group right now. She kind of the one on the uprise, by Pablo and Arthur definitely are on their decline. And then the good group is really, like, the good group is really solid. You have basically the entire Hunter class in Leader Ash. And then, of course, Groovy right now is the two warriors, the best tank, the best DPS in the game, AoD Ash and Henry the Red. And there's my complete grouping of how it works if you want to see it as a tier list. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't put anyone in the tier list that went to evil. I'm not going to take poor Cheryl and put her in evil, or poor Scotty in evil. I don't feel like any of them are that bad, but they do need some work. And there's where you have them. And that's it, guys. That is where everyone is. You saw who's rising, you saw who's fallen, and now you know what my new 3.0 tier list looks like. As always, let me know your thoughts on the comments. If you have disagreements of who you think should be rising and falling, let me know. I want to hear it. And as always, thanks for watching, and later, mates.